The 1910 sailing yacht Tali sat sinking into the mud of an Oregon boatyard, completely destined for a bonfire. A humble boat builder buys her for $1 to save her. That is the story 500,000 people watch on YouTube. It is beautiful. It is inspiring. It is also carefully curated. Because the man swinging the hammer wasn't an amateur taking a wild leap of faith. He was an elite, award-winning professional, hiding a brilliant corporate secret. You know the story. You have seen fantasy. It is perhaps the ultimate YouTube dream. The story goes exactly like this. A humble boat builder, a man named Samson Golden, discovers a 110-year-old classic sailboat. Her name is Tali, but she is not just old, she is not just neglected, she is a complete and total rotting hulk. She is a massive, heavy, decomposing liability, destined for destruction. With a heart full of romance and a pocket full of nothing, he buys this magnificent piece of history. The price is just $1. His mission is beautifully simple and impossibly complex. He plans to rebuild her from the keel up. He plans to take a pile of dust and memories and turn it into a living, breathing vessel. And then, he plans to sail her halfway around the world. The goal is pure poetry. He wants to compete in the 2027 Fastnet race. That is the very same race she famously and miraculously won exactly 100 years before. For 7 long years, over 250 videos have documented this journey.
A massive, dedicated audience of over 500,000 subscribers has watched this impossible dream slowly take shape. We have watched him hew timber. We have watched him pour lead. We have watched him battle the brutal elements of the Pacific Northwest. It is a romantic, inspiring escape from the modern digital grind. It is a story about craft. It is a story about passion. It is a story about community. It is a project, as Leo says himself, funded entirely by donations, patrons, volunteers, and many other acts of kindness. And to be perfectly crystal clear, Leo himself states it directly on his own website. He writes, quote, "Samson Boat Co. is not a commercial entity. It is a beautiful story. It is the perfect escape from the modern world. But it is not the whole story. The image of the humble boat builder at the center of it all is a carefully crafted persona. Before he ever bought that $1 boat, he was secretly one of the world's most elite, award-winning professional yachtsmen. And Samson Boat Co., the one he still claims is not a commercial entity, is actually a registered international limited company. It is a company with a secret director. It is all set up to protect a sophisticated media operation worth hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We are peeling back the layers of the brand. We are digging into the public records, the forgotten articles, and the story behind the story.
This is the secret life of Samson Boat Co. exposed. To understand the Tali project, you first have to understand the man who started it. You have to understand Samson Golden. The image cultivated on the channel is specific. The persona is one of a humble, highly skilled artisan who took a giant, terrifying leap of faith. In a presentation he gave to the prestigious Royal Ocean Racing Club, Leo tells his own origin story. That presentation is itself part of his YouTube channel. He says he was 18, traveling the world. He originally hoped to be a musician, but he had a realization. He wanted to work with his hands. He was drawn to the pure, simple romance of sailing away to travel the world for free. He wanted to be powered by nothing but the wind. He returned to his hometown of Bristol, England. He found an informal apprenticeship at a boatyard. He worked, in his own words, for minimal pay. He made just £20 a week simply to learn the craft. This is the perfect struggling artist origin. It is relatable. It is deeply romantic. It feeds directly into the mythos of the lone craftsman sacrificing everything for his art. But the full story, the one largely omitted from the curated YouTube narrative, is even more dramatic. It is darker, and it is far more impressive. An article from the Bristol Post dug deep into his life before the YouTube fame. When Leo started that apprenticeship, he was not just struggling. For a time, he was entirely homeless. He was literally living under a friend's stairs in a party house in Bristol. He described it as freezing cold. He slept right next to a loud, vibrating washing machine.
He needed earplugs just to block out the constant noise of the house. By day, he worked for free at the Underfall boatyard. By night, he had to find other ways to eat and survive. He busked in the streets to earn spare cash. He became what he called, in his own words, a discerning bin raider. Yes, the man you see expertly crafting a museum-quality masterpiece on YouTube was finding his meals in supermarket dumpsters. He noted with a bit of dark humor that the local waitress was probably the best place to get a free meal. This is the very definition of paying your dues. He was, without question, completely committed to learning how to build boats. He eventually saved enough busking and bartending money to buy his own boat. It was a 25-foot wooden folk boat named Lorelma. But Lorelma, much like Tali Ho later, was rotting. Its mast snapped on his very first sail. He spent years rebuilding it. He lived on the tiny boat while he worked on it. He poured every ounce of his energy and meager resources into making it seaworthy.
This is the moment everything shifts. This is the pivot point where the story of the humble builder ends and the story of the elite professional begins. In 2015, Leo took his tiny rebuilt 25-foot boat Lorelma and did something extraordinary. He did something that permanently separates a hobbyist from a master. He sailed it across the Atlantic Ocean. He did it solo, he did it without an engine, and he did it without a GPS system. He navigated by sextant and the stars. This is not a task for an amateur. This is not a leap of faith taken by an enthusiastic woodworker. This is a feat of pure, unadulterated world-class seamanship. Crossing the Atlantic in a massive modern vessel is dangerous enough. Doing it in a 25-foot wooden boat with no engine and no satellite navigation requires a level of skill, nerve, and expertise that few people on Earth possess. His arrival in the Caribbean on such a tiny traditional boat immediately turned heads. It was, as one article put it, highly unusual. He entered Lorelma into the prestigious world-famous Antigua Classic Yacht Regatta. This is not a local club race. This is a gathering of the wealthiest, most elite classic boat owners on the planet. He did not just compete, he won. He was awarded first place in his class. More importantly, he was personally named Best Young Skipper. Suddenly, the bin diver from Bristol was the talk of the entire Caribbean yachting set. He had proven himself on the water in the most undeniable way possible. This is the secret life that the Tali Ho narrative conveniently leaves out.
His massive win did not just get him a polite pat on the back. It launched him directly into the stratosphere of professional yachting. He was no longer a struggling apprentice. He was a highly sought-after commodity in the world of ultra-wealthy boat owners.
He was immediately hired as captain of the Sincerity. The Sincerity is a massive 90-foot wooden ketch built in the 1920s. He skippered this historic vessel from the Caribbean all the way back to Europe, navigating the treacherous waters via Greenland. This is high-stakes, professional commanding of a large crew and an irreplaceable historic artifact. After successfully skippering the Sincerity, he was recruited as bosun on the Adex. What is the Adex? It is a 65-meter, 3-masted, 270-ton superyacht. This is not a boat. It is a floating palace. It requires a massive professional crew. He was suddenly rubbing shoulders with millionaires and billionaires. He was working on one of the most famous and expensive classic yachts on the planet. He was making a very real, very lucrative career at the absolute pinnacle of the maritime world. And then, in 2016, to cap it all off, the entire industry officially recognized his exceptional talent. Classic Boat magazine, which is essentially the Vogue of the wooden boat world, officially named Leo Samson Golden their Yachtsman of the Year. Let's be perfectly clear about what this means. This one fact completely reframes the entire Samson Boat Co. story. The Tali Ho project was not a blind leap of faith by a humble, unknown builder who got in over his head. It was a calculated, strategic career pivot by an award-winning Yachtsman of the Year. He was a man who, in his own words, felt trapped by the high-paying, easy life world of superyachts. He wanted a project of his own. He wanted to return to working with his hands, but he was doing it from a position of massive, established authority. He was not an amateur taking a risk. He was an expert executing a master plan. Hiding this elite professional past is the first crucial step in crafting the Tali Ho fantasy. The YouTube audience connects with the underdog. They connect with the guy who might fail. They do not connect as easily with the reigning Yachtsman of the Year executing a highly technical rebuild.
If Leo was a global superstar in the classic yachting world, how does that square with the $1 boat story? Why was this famous boat just rotting in a field in Oregon waiting for some random guy to come along? The Tali Ho project began in 2017. The narrative, the one you see in videos titled, "Everyone thought I was crazy when I bought this rotting yacht for $1, it implies a chance encounter. It implies he found this rotting hulk in a remote part of Oregon on a whim, handed over a dollar bill, and took a massive personal risk. The reality is far more interesting. This is the second part of the secret. Tali Ho was not just any old boat, it was a highly famous 1910 vessel designed by the legendary naval architect Albert Strange. It was the 1927 Fastnet winner. It was a certified piece of British sailing history. And it had, as one article puts it, a dedicated cult following. The Albert Strange Association, a group of historians and enthusiasts dedicated to preserving these specific boats, had been desperately trying to save Tali Ho for years. She was rotting away in Brookings, Oregon. The Port Authority had seized her. The association had stepped in to pay the storage fees just to keep the chainsaws away. They were, and this is a direct quote from Caribbean Compass magazine, seriously searching for the perfect person to lay down $1 for the chance to save their winner of the 1927 Fastnet race. They were not just going to give this historic artifact to anyone who walked by with $1. They were looking for a highly specific savior.
They were looking for a hero with the exact set of skills required to pull off a miracle, and who, in 2016, was just named Yachtsman of the Year. Who was already world famous for saving a different riding wooden boat, Lorelma, and sailing it across the Atlantic. Who was, at that exact moment, the planet's new golden boy of classic wooden yachts. Leo Samson Golden. He was not a random buyer. He was recruited. He was headhunted. The $1 price was not a purchase. It was a ceremonial transfer of liability. The society was not selling a boat. They were offloading a massive, rotting, financially ruinous liability to the one person on Earth who actually had the skills, the reputation, and the public profile to pull it off. They gave it to him because they knew he could save it. Even the Yachtsman of the Year needs a place to work. A project of this massive scale needs a home. You cannot rebuild a 48-foot, 20-ton yacht in your driveway. This is the part of the secret origin that blows the $1 myth completely out of the water. The Tali Ho project did not start in some expensive rented commercial boatyard. Leo moved the riding hulk 550 miles north to a plot of land in Sequim, Washington. Why Sequim? A 2023 article in Caribbean Compass reveals the truth. The boat was moved to a private farm. The landowners, described as extraordinary hosts, did something that money simply cannot buy. They offered Leo the completely free use of their massive shop and everything inside it. This was not just an empty shed in a field. This was, quote, a boat builder's dream of tools and space. This is the real startup capital of the Samson Boat Co. empire. It was not a $1 bill. The real capital was an elite global reputation. The real capital was institutional patronage from the Albert Strange Association handing him a famous, historically significant hull. The real capital was private patronage from wealthy landowners giving him a fully equipped free workshop to launch his media business. For a few years, the fantasy worked perfectly. The YouTube channel grew at an astonishing rate. The boat was slowly being dismantled and rebuilt. The Patreon money was flowing in, funding the materials, the tools, and the massive operation. The audience was captivated by the idyllic rural setting. The farm in Sequim looked like a paradise of craftsmanship. The videos showed a man at peace, working with wood, surrounded by trees, insulated from the harsh realities of the modern economy. It was the ultimate compelling narrative.
But the real world does not care about YouTube narratives. In early 2021, the real world came crashing through the walls of the farm. The Tali Ho project, remember, was taking place on that free farm workshop, but that farm was located on a strictly rural residential property. This was a massive zoning problem. The scale of the boat building operation had outgrown the legal limits of the land. It was no longer a guy tinkering in a shed. It was a major industrial undertaking with heavy machinery, constant noise, and regular deliveries. One neighbor complained, then another neighbor complained. The local county code enforcement officers arrived. They gave Leo a shocking, existential ultimatum. He revealed this terrifying moment himself in a desperate, highly emotional video to his 300,000 subscribers. He was ordered by the government to make a choice. Option A was to apply for a $4,000 conditional use permit. This permit would be incredibly expensive, highly bureaucratic, and might not even be approved by the hostile neighbors. Option B was devastating. He had to take down his Patreon account entirely and promise in writing not to collect any money whatsoever related to his boat building. The county looked at his YouTube channel, looked at his Patreon, and determined he was running an unpermitted commercial enterprise on residential land. This is the climax of the entire early story. This is the moment the idyllic fantasy shattered into a million pieces. For the very first time, a legal, governmental body officially called his bluff.
The county essentially said, "You claim this is just a hobby, but your income says otherwise." He was completely trapped. His lawyers told him they might have a very strong legal case to fight the county, but as he said himself on camera, he did not have the time or the money for a protracted legal war. He wanted to build boats, not put his energy into a sprawling legal case. The final agreement with the county was brutal. It stipulated that Leo absolutely must move the entire Tally-Ho operation by the 18th of September 2021.
Moving a complete, functional boat is hard. Moving a half-built, incredibly fragile, 48-foot, 20-ton wooden skeleton is a logistical nightmare of epic proportions. He had to transport the Tally-Ho 36 miles away to a new, fully permitted commercial boatyard in Port Townsend. This legal battle was the single most important event in the channel's entire history. It was a deeply traumatic, massively expensive, and highly public defeat. The illusion of the isolated craftsman was gone. He was forced into a commercial yard. He was forced to pay commercial rent. The operation had matured violently from a backyard hobby into a massive logistical enterprise. The move required specialized heavy haulers, road closures, and immense stress. The hull could have warped. The freshly laid timbers could have cracked. Every single frame he had painstakingly crafted was put at massive risk as it rolled down the highway. The audience watched with bated breath. The move to Port Townsend was a success, but it fundamentally changed the nature of the project. It was no longer a secret farm retreat. It was a public, heavily scrutinized operation in a busy maritime hub. This forced transition required a completely new level of professional management. The financial burn rate skyrocketed. Rent, insurance, and professional services replaced the free patronage of the Sequim farm. The Tally-Ho project had survived the county, but the scare taught Leo a crucial lesson. The brand was vulnerable. The income was vulnerable. He needed a shield.
Let's go back to that central, absolutely crucial claim. It is the one that is still prominently displayed on his website today, years after the legal battle, years after the move to Port Townsend. Right now, as you are listening to this, his site claims Samson Boat Co. is not a commercial entity. But a simple search of the United Kingdom's official public company register, an agency known as Companies House, reveals something that directly and factually contradicts this claim. There is a registered company named Samson Boat Co. Limited. And look closely at who the first director of this company was. It was a Mr. Leo Samson Goulden. He registered the company on the 30th of November 2019, but this is where the story gets weird. This is where the narrative gets incredibly deep. Just 4 months after incorporating the company, Leo officially resigns as director. And who was appointed that very same day to take over the company? A man named Mr. Adrian French Goulden. Who is Adrian Goulden? Internet forum users have speculated about this for years. We can confirm, through public records and company filings, that Adrian Goulden is Leo's father. And his father is not just a placeholder assigning documents. Adrian Goulden is listed as a director and a design-build professional. Furthermore, Adrian Goulden was also a director of the Cardigan Mercantile Company Limited. This was a British firm established all the way back in 1876. This completely destroys the lone wolf myth. This isn't just a random guy figuring it out as he goes. This is a family with deep generational business savvy.
This is a family that fundamentally understands how to use complex corporate structures. So the company Samson Boat Co. Limited exists. It is run by his father in the UK. This must be the company receiving all that massive Patreon and sponsor money, right? It must be the commercial entity he claims does not exist. Wrong. This is the most brilliant, entirely hidden part of the whole operation. When we pull the company's official filing history, Samson Boat Co. Limited is listed as an active company. Yet, for the accounting period ending in 2020, it files as a dormant company. For the period ending in 2021, it files as dormant. For 2022, dormant. For 2023, dormant. And for 2024, it is still a dormant company. By strict UK law, a dormant company is one that has had absolutely no significant accounting transactions during the financial year. This is the smoking gun. This public record evidence proves conclusively that the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year coming from over 5,100 active Patreons, from massive YouTube ad revenue, and from big-name corporate sponsors like Blue Nile and AG1 is not flowing through the UK company.
So what does this complex web actually mean?
It means he has constructed a sophisticated, masterful two-part legal structure. Part 1 is the shield. Samson Boat Co. Limited, the UK company quietly run by his father, exists for one reason and one reason only. It exists to own and legally protect the brand name for all tax and business purposes, operating as a sole proprietor or through a simple US-based LLC. He is simply Leo Golden, the individual YouTube creator. Every single dollar of Patreon money, every single sponsor check, and all the ad revenue flows directly to him in the US. This is exactly what makes his public statement, Samson Boat Co. is not a commercial entity, the most brilliant, misleading, and technically true half-truth on the internet. He is not lying. He is just not telling you which Samson Boat Co. he is talking about. The limited company in the UK is genuinely not a commercial entity. It is dormant. The real commercial operation, the one raking in massive amounts of cash, isn't a company called Samson Boat Co. at all. It is just Leo, a guy on a boat, making videos for 500,000 friends. It is a masterclass in risk management. It insulates his brand, protects his immense income, and most importantly, it keeps the vital, romantic hobby myth alive for the viewers.
Today, the boat is finally launched. The project, against all odds, was a staggering, undeniable success. Tali Ho is back on the water, looking more beautiful than she did the day she was built. Leo is currently sailing her south towards the Panama Canal, firmly on his way to that fateful 2027 Fastnet race. Yet, his website today still pleads for support. It asks for endless materials, parts, expensive video equipment, labor costs, provisions, diesel fuel, and harbor fees. His latest videos, which are beautifully shot and heavily produced, constantly show him nervous, overworked, and short-handed, even as he stands at the helm of a project that is, by any metric, a massive financial media operation. Why maintain the struggle? Because the fantasy must be fiercely protected. The story is the brand. The brand is the business. The real secret of Samson Boat Co. is not that he is a fake. The calluses on his hands are absolutely real. The boat is real. His breathtaking skill as a shipwright and sailor is undeniable. The secret is that Leo Golden is not a humble, lucky artisan. He is a brilliant, highly awarded professional who took a patron-backed historical project and skillfully engineered it into a $500,000-a-year international media operation. He survived a grueling legal war that nearly destroyed him.
He responded by building a sophisticated, secret corporate shield managed by his own father. He did all this while legally maintaining that his company does absolutely no business. He is not just a boat builder. He is a master storyteller. He has successfully built two incredible things simultaneously: a beautiful, historic 1910 sailing yacht and a completely bulletproof 21st century media brand. And the ultimate secret, hidden in plain sight, is that he is a far better CEO than he will ever let you believe. Send this episode to that one friend who watches boat restoration videos at 2 a.m. They need to hear this.